What's going on, guys? This is AndrewChicken and welcome back to another video. In this one I'll be kickstarting my new series in which I explain mechanics and other helpful game tips with a new player-friendly approach. In this episode I'll be going over itemization tips, including how each item works and when each item would be appropriate, since this is a fundamental part of the game that is crucial for new players to understand. So with that out of the way, let's get straight into the video. Buying items is one of the most important parts of any game, because with bad itemization it becomes extremely difficult to do well in any match. Typically you'll want to focus on getting one item to tier 2 or tier 3 rather than buy multiple items all at tier 1. This is a mistake I see a lot of new players make, and it results in their items being less effective than if they were to pursue just 1 or 2 items instead. For instance, if you were to buy tier 1 cauterize and then 3 other items, that cauterize will be almost useless compared to if you were to save your credits and buy tier 3 cauterize, which will devastate any healing abilities the enemy team tries to use. Now, different classes should usually buy different items to start out with. But before I get into that, I'm going to explain how each of these items work, since there are a few items that get a lot of people tripped up. First off, in the defensive category you have Illuminate and Resilience, which are some of the cheapest items in the game. Illuminate is a great card to use against enemies that have stealth abilities such as Strix and Sky, since it will allow you to see them while they're in stealth within a certain distance. Resilience is good against crowd control abilities, ranging from stuns to slows to knockbacks. However, Haven and Blast Shields are the main 2 items you'll probably want to pick up from this category. Both provide damage reduction against 2 different types of damage, area damage and direct attacks. Blast Shields only protects against abilities that can hit more than one person, such as bombs and fire, while Haven only protects against single target abilities like bullets and arrows. You should buy these items depending on how many area damage or direct damage abilities the enemy team has and what type of abilities you're getting hit by the most. So if you're getting hit by Eevee 95% of the time, you should go Blast Shields, whereas you should go Haven if you're fighting Androxus most of the time. The utility items are pretty straightforward. Chronos is a must-buy for healers so they can heal teammates as often as possible, but it's less helpful for other champions. Morale Boost is an item you can pick up just to supplement your damage if you're playing a champion like Victor or Bomb King, and it's also a great buy for Ying and Grover since they both have powerful healing ultimates. Nimble and Master Riding are somewhat similar abilities since they both provide movement speed, but they are used for different purposes. You should only pick up Master Riding if you're a tank and need to get to the point before the other team does, or if you're trying to flank enemies and want to get behind them as quickly as possible. Nimble, on the other hand, is great for champions with little to no movement abilities, so champions like Tyra and Terminus benefit greatly from this. The healing items are also pretty self-explanatory, with Veteran being the only truly awful healing item. Veteran's healing buff is only applied when you're out of combat, which is not the most useful buff to have. Rejuvenate is a must-buy for tanks, however, since they'll be taking the most fire out of all their teammates and will need as much healing as they can get. Now, the offensive items are what I see most beginners get wrong. Offensive items should usually be the first buy for any damage or flank champion, but the type of offensive item differs depending on the enemy's team comp. First of all, you should never buy Deft Hands unless you're trying to play Damage Damba or Dredge, since it will severely dampen how well you can deal damage. While having extra reload speed does seem enticing, it is completely useless against a team comp with a healer or any bit of shielding, since they can just negate most of your damage with their abilities. Cauterize is usually the safest buy in the offensive category, since most team comps will have a healer or some sort of healing in their loadout and items. With tier 3 Cauterize, you can pretty much negate any healing an enemy will receive, which makes Cauterize an extremely crucial item to have. Now sometimes it is important to have Wrecker or Bulldozer, but it can be confusing to know which one to buy. Bulldozer often seems enticing to newer players, since it shows huge percentages of increased damage to a variety of different targets. However, there is actually a very limited amount of things that Bulldozer can actually affect. Bulldozer basically counters anything that an enemy deploys that is not a shield, so Ying's Illusions, Barrick's Turrets, Grok's Totem, and Imani's Dragon are all things that this affects. Wrecker, on the other hand, only affects shields, so any personal shield bubble with a yellow health bar or a huge translucent red shape like Makoa's Dome Shield, Fernando's Shield, or Barrick's Shield gets affected by Wrecker. Bulldozer will never deal bonus damage to shields like these, while Wrecker will not deal bonus damage to deployables like Inara's Wall. Most frontliners have shields, with the only exceptions being Atlas, Inara, and Terminus. Now, there are a few different items that different classes benefit more from. If you play a healer, you should almost always rush for at least Chronos 2, since they need to have their healing abilities as much as possible. The only true exception to this rule is Ying, who benefits more from buying Morale Boost first so she can use her ult more often, which can provide massive amounts of healing for her team. Flankers typically benefit from buying Cauterize or Wrecker if they're fighting Torvald, and they can also benefit from buying Life Rip, Kill to Heal, or Master Riding later. Rejuvenate is pretty much a waste of credits when playing flank unless there's a Genos healing them, so stay away from this item like the plague when there's not a Genos on your team. Damages and tanks are the most well-rounded champions, since they can benefit from almost every item except Veteran. However, damage champions should focus more on offensive items such as Cauterize, Wrecker, and Bulldozer, while tanks usually benefit more from defensive items like Haven and Resilience, and benefit immensely from Rejuvenate. Tanks can also use Master Writing to get to the point faster than the other tank to try and zone them off the point. So anyways, that's the end of this video. Did this video help you understand how to buy items in Paladins? Be sure to drop a like if it did, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this. Also, make sure to join my Discord server using the link in the description to pick up tips, leave suggestions, and become a part of our active community. I'll also be doing my first live stream on Wednesday, so be sure to follow my Twitch so you don't miss that. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.